Well, today was about 15 degrees warmer than what we had yesterday. I don't know if it really felt like it. We did manage to get above 32. We tried to start melting more of the snowfall. It's still cold outside, but that Arctic air mass is slowly pushing back up into Canada. Some warmer conditions will slide in for this week. We have 50s in the 7-day forecast. I even thought about maybe sliding in a 60 in there. I didn't get that crazy, but those are what's waiting on the back half of the week. There is some improvements. Warmer weather is going to be coming. It will get nicer for tomorrow. We get back to kind of seasonal average for Monday. Slight hiccup on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then that warmer weather is really going to lock in. What's also happening on Monday, the most famous forecaster of all, Punxsutawney Phil, is going to be kind of taking the stage, give his thoughts if it's going to be an early spring, late winter. This is his track record. I don't want to knock him too bad, but the National Weather Service has estimated that he's about 30% accurate in the last decade. That's 20% worse than a coin flip. I kind of went back and I graded how does he pan out here locally, and I was very generous with my grading. Try to give him partial credit when I can. Lots of B's and C's. He has called for seeing his shadow a late winter 4 of the last 5 years. The only time he didn't was in 2024, and he did absolutely perfect with that forecast. We had the second warmest February ever, the 10th warmest March ever. That's the only time he called for an early spring, and I think for tomorrow, if he was asking for advice, if he phoned me up and said, hey, Matt, what should I call? I'd tell him to call for a late winter. This shouldn't come to a surprise as a lot of people, as we're just now getting those winter conditions that have rolled in, expecting the colder weather to really stick around throughout February, to linger until the start of March. I think we get better this week. We'll get warmer this week. We shut down snow chances for this week. But once we get closer to Valentine's Day and past that, that Arctic air mass will start to push back in, and I think more of that cold will be locked in place. We're not done with winter. Spring is a long ways away. Satellite radar is looking quiet. We had a band of flurries that moved in further off into the east. Here's the setup for this. That cold winter air we've been trying to get rid of is slowly kind of shifting back off as a warm front is nudging it out of the Ozarks, and that process is going to continue more for tomorrow as we continue to nudge that cold air back, have warm air that start to move back in. I think 40s and 50s are going to be the range. If you live further off into the west, closer to where this warm-up is, you will experience warmer temperatures than people that are off into the northeast that are still trying to push that cold air mass back. So a range in temperatures for tomorrow with sunny skies. There'll be some clouds that start to bubble up by the time we get later into the day. Winds out of the southwest. Not really too concerned with weather impacts. For Monday, I'm watching for something maybe on Tuesday, but I'm really starting to rule it out now, as there's going to be a short wave that's going to try to create some moisture over the Ozarks. I think most of this activity is going to fire up on the other side of the Mississippi. We could have a chance of an isolated shower, especially for areas south of I-44, but that's really it. I'm not expecting too much on Tuesday, except clouds coming back and temperatures getting a little bit cooler. In fact, here's the rain outlook for the next 7 days. Wanting to keep us basically rain-free throughout this entire week as the drought continues to grow. Guys, we have less than 2 inches of rain since Thanksgiving. I expect it to be dry for this week with warmer weather that starts to move back in. So once we get past Wednesday, that warm-up really starts to roll, temperatures getting back, and the 7-day forecast is one I'm actually happy to show. I don't think I've had one in 2026 that I look at and go, oh, that's pretty good. But this one may be the best 7-day forecast of 2026. Rain, snow looking unlikely for this week. Temperatures really start to warm up once we get on the back half of it. 54 for Friday, 55 for Saturday. And Sunday was that day that I was saying, maybe we hit 60. I don't know if we will. I think there's a better chance we'll get there on Monday. The bigger takeaway is, Chris, nicer weather is going to be coming in.
Okay, so forgive me for being ignorant on this. How does the rodent seeing its shadow mean winter when if there was no sun, that would mean no, that's bad.
I'm glad you asked this because I wrote a very large article on this. The rodent comes out of hibernation, talks to the inner circle, speaks groundhogese, lets them know what the forecast is going to be. And if he sees a shadow, he gets scared and goes back and sleeps for 6 more weeks.
Like, seeing the sun should be a great thing.
The thing that frustrates me, I have a degree. And there's people that trust that rodent more than me.
Oh, hey, you got to love the internet. It's all good for things. All right, well, look, here's the deal. All right, well.